Hey everyone, this is Bill Krieger from the Veterans Archives podcast, where we preserve and share the incredible stories of our nation's heroes. Catch us every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern on Wreaths Across America Radio, or stream anytime on Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Really, anywhere you choose to get your podcast, you should be able to find us. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on social media to help us reach more veterans and supporters. We are a nonprofit, and this service is completely free for veterans. Every story matters, and every voice deserves to be heard. Spread the word, honor our heroes, and join us on this mission. Follow, share, and tune in, because their story should never be forgotten. Learn more at veteransarchives.org. We'll see you there. Today is Monday, October 20th, 2025. We're talking with Jim Vetter, who served the United States Army. So good morning, Jim.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming out early on a Monday morning to talk with us.
It was a beautiful drive.
Well, yes, it's fall in Michigan. I mean, I guess you could complain, but no one would listen anyway. Right. So we'll get started. We'll start out very simple. When and where were you born?
So I was born in Wisconsin, New London, Wisconsin, 1965, February 13th.
All right. And so did you grow up in Wisconsin then?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Grew up, graduated high school, lived there till I was probably in my mid-20s, and ended up coming up, well, a little later than that, I guess. Came out here into Michigan in 2000.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about growing up. Did you have brothers and sisters? Are you only child?
I did. I had an older brother and a younger sister.
Okay.
So I was the middle child.
Yes, as was I. So we could probably compare some stories about that too.
Right.
Talk to me about growing up. What was it like?
Small town. We had one stoplight, so it was small. Just about everybody knew everybody else, and we were like everybody else in that period. That we'd go out, and when the lights came on at night, the street lights came on, we'd have to go home, and otherwise we played outside all the time with our friends. We walked to school. School was not close. Even now as I drive back there and look at, where I went to school, it was like, wow, that's a long walk for a kindergartner.
And you're doing that like all 4 seasons, right?
Right. Yeah. I remember having a metal lunchbox and just playing with that in the snowbank as I walked home, and just kind of run it like a snowmobile or something, having that imagination.
Yeah. Was this, so I got to ask, was this like a Batman lunchbox? Did it have something on it?
Oh yeah. It was, I forget what was on it, but it was probably something different every year because I probably rusted them out from running them on the snowbanks,
Right. And did you have like the old thermos, the ones that were like glass lined?
Yep. And they were inside there. And
yeah.
So I had everything I needed for the day,
I can't tell you how many of those things I broke.
Exactly.
I was so happy when they came out with those plastic ones.
Yep.
Yeah. So really like the same school system, like kind of the same friends the whole time?
No. So we moved a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up in kindergarten down in Wywigga, Wisconsin. And that's an Indian name. So here we rest.
Okay.
So we born in that area, and then kindergarten there, moved to Florida, Lakeland, Florida, did first grade and just half of second grade, and then moved back to Fremont, Wisconsin, and did the other half of second grade there, and then finally moved to Waupaca, where we finished out high school and everything in that area.
Now, did you move a lot because of work?
Yeah, my dad's work. Yeah, so he was, the factory that he was working at went under, so he had to find another job and found something in Florida. We have aunt and uncle down there, so it worked out well. We had cousins to play with.
Yeah.
So
you got to know your extended family a little bit.
Yep, definitely. It was a good time.
Oh, that's great. That's better than moving to Florida and not knowing anybody, right?
Right.
Yeah. So how was it for you to bounce around a little bit like that?
Probably prepared me for my life.
Right.
So,
right.
It wasn't bad. It was, we were still young. We were making friends everywhere we went. And it was kind of cool to see the different areas. Florida, I remember just as a kid, always outside playing, running, doing things. They have a moss there that has jiggers, I think, in it. And, we'd go out and play in the trees and come home just itching and scratching. Or, I'd be running and turn around and slam right into a tree or something like that. So just
always something fun, right?
Silly things as a kid. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, did you have any interests in high school? Did you play sports? Were you part of clubs? What did you do in high school?
So my sophomore year, I played every sport.
Uh-huh.
So I played football. I didn't do baseball. Played soccer. Did just tried everything one year.
Yeah.
And said, okay, I've done that. Basketball. I lettered in track that year. So it was a good year. I didn't work very hard at track. I just could get out there and run.
Right.
Which was good for my military career.
Yeah. For anybody who's never been in the military, you do a lot of running.
Yeah.
It seems to be a thing.
Yeah. For some reason.
Well, that's awesome. So you get through school and did you graduate from high school in Wisconsin then?
Yes. So what I did is I joined the Army in between my junior and senior year of high school.
Okay.
Went in on a delayed entry program. And so I went and did basic training between the junior and senior year. After I graduated from basic training, I came back home and finished high school and then went to my AIT or my advanced training.
So I got to ask, I know a lot of people in like the National Guard have done that as well. What did that change your perspective, like between your junior and senior year, going to basic training and then coming back and finishing out your senior year? Were you kind of a different person, or was it just it was just something you did?
No, I think I was different. I definitely gave me more responsibility and a reason for what I was doing. It's an interesting story on how I got to join up that early because my parents had to sign for it and
right.
and everything. But my stepfather was in the National Guard or Army Reserve, sorry, and he was an E6 in communications. We went to one of his Christmas parties, and long story to get there. My car was kind of a hoopty. So he borrowed me his Camaro.
Uh-huh.
It was a snowstorm, and my sister and I were going to be a little later than them. So my mom and him went to this Christmas party. We came a little bit later, and on the way, we ended up spinning out with his Camaro, took it up a hill, into the ditch, up a hill, and I put it in park, and we're just sitting there looking at each other. I go and I put it in reverse, go back out the same way I came in, get out of the car, look around the car. I didn't damage the car at all. So
you're a lucky man.
Yes, yeah, I'd have been dead on that one.
Yeah.
So we go to the Christmas party and we say we're never going to tell anybody this story, So go to the Christmas party and I get there and I just start looking around and it's like, man, this is what I want to do. There's equipment and the people and the everything else. So I searched out a recruiter right away at this Christmas party. And it's like, I need to talk to you. And my parents, stepfather and my mother saw me over at the recruiter and they came over to try to rescue me. And it was too late. I was in, Yeah. So it took a little convincing to get them to sign the paper to say, yes, I could go. I was probably 15 and a half at that time. I couldn't sign up until I was 16. Mm-hmm. But, they signed and said, yes, I could do it. And, it was probably the best decision I made in my life.
So you were pretty young when you went to basic training then.
Yeah.
Younger than most.
Very young. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk to me about that experience.
It was interesting, and coming from a small town, it was just, and then going to basic training was just such a diverse group of people that, I hadn't met before. The difference in personalities or the difference in cultures and things like that. So it was interesting to go to basic training at that young. It was interesting to, be part of a group and have people listen to you and take take orders from you. I became a squad leader, and it was pretty cool at that age to manage people that were older than me.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny because I think if I look back on basic training, age mattered if the guy was like 40 years old and going through boot camp, right? Because they were like the old man. But when it didn't matter how young you were.
No.
I mean, you learned chain of command, and you learned leadership and all the followership and all those things.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. Now, what was the experience like when you first got off the bus, though?
So that was an interesting. So I went to the reception station first. Went to Fort Knox, Kentucky for basic training. Went to the reception station, and they were very nice there. Nice drill sergeants. And they, took us to the different places, got us our uniforms, got us set up in these old World War II barracks. So I was a little nervous about what we were going to get into.
Right.
Is this what it's really going to be like? And so I think it was 2 or 3 days at the reception station, and they were just as nice as could be. Hey, come on over here. Let's have dinner. It was so. They were setting us up for something.
Oh yeah.
So then the day we jump on the bus to go over to our actual basic training site, they were there along with every drill sergeant in Fort Knox that wasn't busy, and it just became. Hell week started.
Right.
They'd get you on the bus, got you off the bus. And like I said, I think they had every drill sergeant that wasn't busy there to help you.
To welcome you aboard.
Right.
That's funny how they lull you into that false sense of, oh, this is going to be okay. And then whoosh.
Yeah.
It's
like, I can do this. And then it's like, whoa, what did I get into?
Right. Yeah. I think most people have that second thought, for at least a few seconds when they first start getting yelled at.
Yeah. And you can't do anything right,
Right.
So you can't get off the bus fast enough. You can't get your duffel bag quick enough, and the aisles aren't big enough on the bus. So.
Right. It's not till years later where you realize, oh, that was all by design.
Right. When I became a drill sergeant, then I realized, oh,
that's why they do this.
Here's the plan.
Right. There's always that one or two guys that figures it out in basic, but most of us were chasing our tails.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you go to basic, you come back home, you do your senior year at high school.
Yeah.
And then did you go back to Fort Knox for AIT?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I went in as a tanker, or armor crewman, and it's a one station unit training normally. So you go in and you do your basic training and your AIT at the same time. But with the delayed program and the split option that I did, I ended up, going back the second time and getting, normally what would happen is you'd be put into a unit that's already going.
Right.
And what happened in this one, there were so many split options coming back, they put us all together. So it was kind of nice. Everybody was brand new. Back at Fort Knox again. At this point, I was an E2, so I got some rank in there. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And again, the drill sergeants weren't as harsh as the basic training phase, but they were still, pretty.
It's like basic training light.
Yeah, basic training light. Yeah, they're still, getting us back into the spirit of things.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I was going to ask you that, when they do the group goes through all together, it would be really tough to come back and join a group that got basic training together because they've formed all these relationships. But it sounds like they really did you guys a solid.
Yeah, it was a good opportunity there for us to, start fresh. And
now, how long was AIT for you?
So 8 weeks.
Okay.
So it was 8 weeks. It was actually a fun period of time because, at 17, 18, shooting tanks and driving tanks and doing all that stuff was pretty exciting.
Yeah, you're not going to get that working at flipping burgers somewhere, are you?
No.
I'm always amazed, because I went in fairly young myself, but I'm always amazed looking back at the amount of responsibility that we give to very young people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you think about, especially like pilots, at 20, 22, they're flying these multi-billion-dollar machines, and it's like, wow.
Right.
And I'm sure that tank was too, but we're not going to crash land a tank.
No, and if you do, there's a big problem. So once you got through AIT, where did you go from there?
So I went to my unit. I was in 84th Division. It was a training unit because when I joined up, the recruiter asked me if I wanted to be a drill sergeant. And I thought that sounded like a great time. I didn't even know what a drill sergeant really was other than seeing them on TV and movies, And
it looks cool in the movies.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, so I had to be a tanker first and then went into the drill sergeant program. So I got back. One thing with the drill sergeant program is they needed drill sergeants bad. So they were promoting people fairly fast. So I had to be an E4 to get signed up for the drill sergeant program. So I got that rank rather quick when I got back. The second part of that was when the class started, I had to be an E5. So I picked up E5 sergeant fairly quick.
So you're a young sergeant then.
I was, very young.
Yeah.
And, but I'd also taken the heat of my first sergeant. My first sergeant did a fantastic job when I got back to the unit. He laid out a path for me on how to do all these things. So I had all my schooling completed as quick as I could, at a young age. So when it came to E5, I had everything I needed to get promoted.
Right.
And so then, because of the drill sergeant program needed bodies, the ruling in at that time was once you graduate, you get your next rank. So I already had all the schooling for that too. So it was a 1-year program. My battle buddy and I did the program together, and my other battle buddy was a teacher. So, it was and we kind of grew closer after that, but it was a fun time. We'd get together in the morning on our motorcycles, drive up to this place where the training was, do our training all day long, come home, study, go back the next day, do it again. And,
wow.
Just intense program of, leadership and how to do the job as a drill sergeant. So.
Right. And I don't want the point to be lost either. You knew somebody who had kind of walked you through how to make sure you're prepared for the next level. And I think sometimes that just doesn't happen. I mean, we're responsible for our careers, but it's always great to have somebody who's going to kind of help show you what you need to do so that you can be prepared.
Yeah. And this guy, First Sergeant Recker, Roger Recker, he was a mentor to not just me, but to many people. 2 of his sons became first sergeants. I became a first sergeant. And I can't imagine how many other people became first sergeants because of his, mentoring.
Yeah.
But, it laid out the path. I mean, just exactly how I should have done it and how I did it. And, I listened luckily and was able to, he's 95 right now.
Really?
Still alive. And I'm hoping to see him maybe at Christmas time. I saw his son, who's my battle buddy. And just when I went up to Wisconsin a couple months ago. So it was pretty cool. And then we're going to see the 2 of us are going to get together and fly down to Florida and see our other battle buddy. So,
that's going to be a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. My son who served in the Army was just visiting here and he brought 3 of his battle buddies that he had served. They hadn't seen each other in 15 years and they were all here at the house hanging out, telling stories. So
yeah. And you can get together with these guys and it's just like you never left.
Yeah. Pick up where you left off, basically.
Yeah. I've been out, 24 years.
Yeah.
Or 22 years. And, we're still close today as we were then,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great, I think the military is the only place that you get that, honestly. I've worked in a lot of different areas, but the military, those guys, I can just pick up and talk with them and we're good. You said something else there too, is, First Sergeant Recker was a great leader, but you listened.
Yeah.
You got to be a great follower. Otherwise you're not going to get these leadership lessons. Right.
Yeah. I was young and hungry,
Yeah. So
willing to learn,
Talk to me about being a drill sergeant then. So you make it through the school and you get promoted. So now you're an E6 staff sergeant.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And
how old are you at that point? You're not very old.
I should have wrote that down. Yeah, it wasn't.
Probably like 20 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Like,
20, 22,
Yeah,
21.
most of those guys are in the E4 Mafia, but you're
Yeah. So
a staff sergeant.
it was a fun time. It was, interesting because, the kids would, and I call them kids, but they're, 18-year-olds when we go in and push troops. They would just hit the walls, get out of your way, do whatever they had to do to avoid pain.
Right.
I was in during the kindler and gentler years of Reagan, so it's kind of cool. There was still wall-to-wall counseling, but wasn't like it was in the past, where you don't have to beat up people to get your point across.
Yeah.
Did
they have stress cards?
No.
You weren't part of that era.
No, we gave them stress.
Right.
So,
they needed it. That's part of being in basic training.
Yeah. So we had a good time. We'd go down as, go as a unit, get assigned to a group. The beginning of basic training is Hell Weeks. So about 2 weeks period of time, you're there. Literally, you have to get up in the morning, get dressed, get there by 5 a.m. to wake them up by 5:30. You're there till 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night when you put them to bed. You get home, you polish your boots, get your uniform pressed, do everything like that, and then go to bed and start it over again the next day. And you do that for about, every drill sergeant does that for about two to 3 solid weeks.
Yeah.
And then what happens is you, as you start moving into the different periods and phases of the basic training, you start to lighten up a little bit. So one drill sergeant does the morning PT, then the other drill sergeant comes in. Then in the evening, one drill sergeant gets cut loose early, and so it starts getting a little better. You can definitely see why the divorce rate's so high in the military, especially in that job, because you are committed.
That's your life. That's what you do, right?
You've got to get those guys, and you're in charge of them through the whole thing. So then, towards the end, excuse me.
Sure.
Let me try this. Towards the end of the phases, it's the platoon leader and the squad leaders are doing all the marching and doing all the cadence and doing everything. And, so it's kind of a nice phase where the drill sergeant can kind of back off a little bit. You're still waking them up in the morning. You're still putting them to bed at night. But, after that, it's, the platoon sergeant's in charge of everything. Platoon leader, excuse me.
Let's take a quick break.
Hey, listeners, we need your help to keep the Veterans Archives podcast going. We're a nonprofit dedicated to preserving the stories of our nation's heroes, and we provide this service completely free to veterans. Your support helps us record, share, and archive these incredible stories so future generations never forget the sacrifices made for our freedom. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. Visit veteransarchives.org to contribute today. Help us honor their service by ensuring their voices are heard. And thank you for your support, and thank you to all the veterans who have served our country. What's it like watching a group of people come in who, are not military, and then seeing them come out the other side?
Yeah. So it's civilian to military, so it's, they're, a lot of people come in with their gangster attitudes and they're, I'm not better than you, but I'm badder than you. And
I'm gonna get through this without any of your BS, that kind of thing. Yeah,
you got to break them real quick, or they get recycled. And then you get recycled a couple times, then they just send you home.
Right.
So,
and how does that reflect on the drill staff then when people get recycled or people get sent home? Is there a sense of how did I fail that person?
No. And I'll tell you, in the drill sergeant program, in the drill sergeant academy, there's a fallout rate.
Yeah.
We know that. So in basic training, we know there's going to be a fallout rate, and, we try our best to get them everything, but there's some people that just are never going to get it, are not made for the military. And it's better to just recycle them, put them in another unit, see if they can start over and start fresh. And like I said, if that doesn't work, then it's time to go home.
Right. Well, and not everybody's suited for the military.
No, that's for sure.
Yeah. I'm sure you've seen your fair share of those folks.
Yeah.
So how long were you a drill instructor?
Too long. So I got promoted to E8 at, I got my E7 fairly short, maybe within my 6-year enlistment.
Wow.
So, but again, I had all my schools done. Nobody else had their schooling done.
Right.
So when this promotion came up, it was like, hey, he's got the promotion.
Well, and I want to make a point too, because you can check all those boxes, right? But there's things that you still have to be a leader to get those promotions.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to be very clear about that. Like, yeah, you got these promotions very quickly and very young, but if you weren't ready for them, you would not have gotten them. And I think I don't want to lose that point in this conversation.
Yeah. And I had, besides First Sergeant Wrecker, I had other good mentors that, pointed me in the right direction and how to, what to do and how to do it right. You know, as a brand new drill sergeant, you don't know what you're getting into. You know, you've been trained, but it's all different until you get in front of the troops, so. You
don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So
and I want to stop for just 1 second because you just said something. If you can remember, tell me about that very first time where you're the man, you're the drill instructor, and you get in front of those troops. What was that like for you?
I think it was the coolest moment of my career, just be able to do what I went in originally signed up to be a drill sergeant, and here I am. I'm there. We'd go in pairs, so we'd have 2 drill sergeants, if not 3 per squad. And, it was very interesting. We, just to, see these young men, growing and learning and progressing in the military was fun. They stepped on themselves a few times, and probably more than a few times. And, the correction was quick and fierce. One of my favorite things to do was, everybody had to have their uniforms, every button buttoned up on their uniforms. And these uniforms had buttons everywhere. And,
by design.
Yeah. So I'd go around and check the uniforms in formation, and they'd have to give me 10 push-ups for each button I'd find. And I could find buttons,
Right.
But, so I had some kids who just owed me, hundreds of push-ups. We knock out 20 right now. And then we, come back, knock out 20 again. And I had a good memory, so I didn't miss anything.
You were that guy. They were like, oh, you're not going to get past this guy.
Yeah. I'll tell you one interesting story in basic training. And I don't know what, I was probably an E7 at that point, but all the drill sergeants, it was a Sunday, and Sundays mornings were usually a little more relaxed. We let them go to church, and we let them clean their uniforms in the barracks and things like that. And we were sitting in the drill sergeant's office, and a young soldier came in, and he knocked wrong on the door. You have to knock 3 times. You have to announce yourself, and then the drill sergeant says, enter. And so he did it wrong. Came in, and all of us drill sergeants are around there, and so we give him push-ups. And then one of the drill sergeants asks him another question, and he blows that question and doing more push-ups. So eventually he can't do any more push-ups. His arms are butter.
Right.
So then we give him a rifle and have him do rifle drills. And, we're just asking him these questions. And one of the drill sergeants in there knew every president and what year they were, presidents and everything with this. So this guy was just starting to ask questions. Who was the 54th president? Who was, all these different things. And this kid couldn't get any of them right.
Oh,
so
yeah.
He was just butter at the end and just a ball of sweat. And eventually it's like, okay, get out of here. And so we're sitting around kind of chuckling, and it's like, what did he come in here for anyway? And it ended up being, he came in for a Band-Aid.
Oh, man, mistake.
Yeah. You need your battle buddy for your Band-Aid, not the drill sergeant.
Lesson learned, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You probably didn't knock on that door again.
Never.
Yeah. Good for him.
Learned a good lesson.
Yeah. Yeah. So you get through your first enlistment, 6 years.
Yeah.
And you decide this is what you want. Like the military's for you, so you decide to re-enlist, or talk through that with me.
I always said if it wasn't fun, I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
So it was, we were having fun.
Yeah.
What was interesting about being a drill sergeant and getting older was the troops were still 18 and I was getting older.
Right.
So I was getting, a little slower on my running, a little slower on some other things, and, could still push the troops. But, some of the younger drill sergeants, I let them do the PT and I did the other things.
Right.
But I also was very smart and I got a license in everything I could get a license in, and trained in everything I get training in. I love training. I love learning. So when it came time to do the forced march, they looked around and said, who's a combat lifesaver? And I was a combat lifesaver. So who can drive the ambulance? I had a license to drive the ambulance. So I'd be at the end of the troops driving the ambulance, picking up all the stragglers,
right?
Instead of being the guy with a backpack on my back marching.
Right.
So learn how to get smarter than, I could drive a deuce and a half, a 5-ton, I could drive just about anything. I had license for those, so it was, when it came up, somebody needed something, I had the license or I could do it, so.
Well, and let's be honest, you've done the forced march. It's not like you've never done it, right? It's not like you're asking these guys to do something you haven't done. You've done it. And now it's somebody else's turn.
Yeah, multiple times.
Yeah.
One of the, some of the other interesting things in basic training is, and AIT is, the gas chamber.
Yeah.
We all love that. And going through it as a basic trainee, was interesting that they planted a tree right outside the door. So when you came out and you couldn't see anything and you were slobbering and doing everything else, people ran right into that tree. Years later, when I was a drill sergeant, that tree's still there, but it's bigger.
Yeah, right.
But to be in that gas chamber with the gas mask on and pushing troops through it, was different than being the guy going through it. So it was, It was fun. Some of the other ones were like grenades, the grenade range. As a basic training, there's a fear there,
right,
with that live grenade. Even though you practice a lot and tried your hardest, I didn't have baseball in my background, so it wasn't probably the best throw of my life, but I got it out there. But as a drill sergeant, I was in the pit with this young man, and he dropped it, pulled the pin, flipped it, dropped it in our pit, and there was a sump in there. It should have gone down in the sump.
Right.
I grabbed him, threw him over the wall. I got over the wall and it went off. I mean, it's like, that's close. That's a close call.
Super close.
Yeah. On the rifle range, I remember a time where a private, his weapon wasn't working. So he points it at me, turns it, points it at me. I kick him in the head. He had his hard hat on or his helmet on. So he probably felt it, but understood there's a problem.
You got the point, but you didn't hurt him.
Right. So, but just, the dumb things that the privates do.
Right.
And you try to keep them alive and everybody else alive, including yourself, so.
Yeah. No one wants to get flagged on the range. That's not a good thing at all.
No.
Yeah. So how long did you stay in as a drill sergeant?
So I
mean, you said too long, but really how long?
Yeah. So I realized, I was getting older, and so I went and taught the Drill Sergeant Academy.
Okay.
So probably did drill sergeant maybe 7-8 years. And then I went to teach the Drill Sergeant Academy. I did that for about 2 years, then became the commandant of the Drill Sergeant Academy. And then right about then, Desert Storm broke out.
Yeah.
And the drills, my number was up. I was going. And the general came out and said, anybody in the Drill Sergeant Academy is not going anywhere. And one of my buddies went my place. So that was Desert Storm, Desert Shield.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. For like 91, was it 91?
I think it was closer to 2000. So
yeah. Oh, you're right. Yep.
I think it was 99 or so.
Yeah.
And so again, I always tell everybody I have a blessed career, right place, right time, with the promotions and with everything. So I was a commandant of the academy for quite a few years, and then finally got promoted to first sergeant. And so that was when I was kind of done with the first sergeant, though, was first sergeant over a company of drill sergeants.
Oh, okay.
So I was still in the same training division, and
Right.
Pretty much spent my whole career in training.
Uh-huh.
In between there, I went from a tanker to artillery. Not that we ever worked on artillery because we were drill sergeants, but
Right.
the people we were, the troops that we were training were artillery, so we had to be artillery. And then after that, I went to infantry later in my career, and that was one of the, again, another highlight. Just reclass into infantry.
So did you go to Benning as an instructor there, or you were still?
So so at that point, I was just finishing up my drill sergeant, career.
Yeah.
And going into the, academy and teaching the academy and everything like that. So I reclassed in Fort Dix, New Jersey in the middle of a hurricane. And infantry in the middle of a hurricane is not fun.
No. Well, Fort Dix isn't fun to begin with.
No.
Well, let's just be honest. That place sucks.
Nobody has a good story about Fort Dix.
No. I'd like to meet one person that does, but I haven't met anybody yet.
Right. So it was good. I got, 3 combat MOSs, proud of the infantry one, proud of the drill sergeant part of it. And, and then eventually got promoted to E8 as a first sergeant in a company that's, pushing troops.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Getting everyone prepared to do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And that's, I think people sometimes discount the importance of all of the supporting elements that make it possible to do what the Army does, right?
Yeah.
Like I talk to people who say, oh, well, I just served stateside and supply or whatever. Yeah, but you made it possible, to do what we had to do. I mean, if you don't have trained troops, you're not going to war.
Right.
Right. You're not fighting a battle. You're not doing the job of the military. I think it's so important to be out there, to be doing those things.
Yeah. And everybody had a mission. And
yeah, exactly. So you spent your whole career then
in training,
doing what you wanted to do.
Yeah. So when I was a first sergeant for probably about a year and a half. And I had an opportunity to become a assistant inspector general, and spent the last 3 years of my career as an assistant inspector general, which was pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I worked for a 2-star general, and I worked for a colonel, but we all worked for the 2-star general. And the 2-star, our job description, we were the eyes, ears, and conscience of this general. So our job was to keep him out of trouble.
Right.
So when a contractor would come on base and say, "Oh, I can remodel your house for you for free,"
if I can get this contract.
Yeah, we were the ones that told him no.
Yeah.
We were the ones that did investigations on allegations of wrongdoing within the Army, and then I had a 7-state area, or we had a 7-state area that we'd fly out to and inspect units every year and make sure they were ready for war, and their mission. So,
wow. Yeah. And that's another important group, the IG, as a company commander, the IG can be your friend.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel that way sometimes.
Right. But
they could be your friend because they keep you out of trouble.
Yep. It was interesting going in as an IG. I had credentials from the general, and we'd go in, show her the credentials. They knew we were coming, but the captains and the colonels and everybody else in there would get us anything we requested, so we could help them. That's really what we're trying to do, not just find issues, but we didn't just find them, but we gave them suggestions on how to fix them.
So you never had to use the old line, which I have used in the past, and that's don't confuse your rank with my authority.
Right.
Right. Because when it comes to that, there's the rank matters. You have to be respectful, but you have a job to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. So you did you Did you move around a bit though? Or were you kind of stationed in the same?
Stationed in the same area, just, because most of my work was in Fort Knox and, we, the 84th headquarters at that time was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So, and as an IG, I could live anywhere.
Yeah.
And fly to the 7-state area,
Right.
If I had to, I drove over. I was originally over in Wisconsin, and then I moved out here in 2000. So for a job.
So you came to Michigan for work then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you married during all this time?
Yeah, my wife and I met. I was an E4, and she she accepted it very well. Her family didn't think that her and I were married because when the family functions came up, I was never around.
Right.
So,
you were a make-believe boyfriend.
Yeah. Most of her families were here in Michigan.
Okay.
And, so we'd drive up or she'd have to go up and, I just wasn't, I was always in training or doing something,
Right.
So it's, for many years that was the joke is if they're even married, because I never showed up with them.
Yeah. How'd you meet?
So we met when I was very young. So we met in a bar.
Oh, well,
So if that's,
yeah.
I wasn't that young, I guess, but it was drinking age was 18 at the time.
Right.
So we kind of met at a bar. She'll tell you we met at a movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
One of these other girls wanted to get with me, and she was way young, and I wasn't interested, but I met her there, and then met her at a bar. Just by accident. But as soon as I talked to her that night in the bar, it's like, I know this is the one for me.
Yeah.
Which was amazing, that you can just have that feeling. And we just hit our 40-year anniversary, October 5th.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you beat the odds.
Yeah. Yeah. We weren't even together maybe 6 months, and I proposed to her and got married within a year. And just,
Well, congratulations. That's
it's kind of a crazy story, but it worked out,
Yeah. Well, when you meet the right person, why mess around? I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, 6 months, that's long enough, right? You probably knew right away, but you had to wait that requisite 6 months. So
Well, I proposed to a good Irish girl on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, well, there you go.
I can remember that.
Yeah. That's not hard to do. Hopefully you got married so that you don't forget your anniversary too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. So you came to Michigan then in the 2000s. So when did you retire then?
2002.
Okay. So you left the military in 2002 and so what happens? So first of all, I got to ask this question before I say what happens.
Yeah.
What was it like that last day in uniform and you know that you're retiring and you're going to be leaving? What was that like for you? Because you spent your whole adult life in the military.
Yeah, I had my family there, which was cool, and it was in Milwaukee at the headquarters. The 2-star general pinned on a meritorious service medal for me, which was pretty cool, and had another medal. I can't think of what it was, but the meritorious service is one of them I was really hoping to get before I retired, and. To have my entire family there, my kids and my wife, the grandparents and everybody else, that was pretty cool, and then we had a little party afterwards and, because cool part when you retire, they don't make you stay the whole day.
Yeah. Yeah. You
can go now.
Right. Right.
But yeah, in front of a formation, a headquarters company, it's like, wow, so that was pretty touching.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you said you have kids?
Yep.
How many?
So I have 2, a daughter that's older and a son that's younger. So I started writing a book about my military career, which is right here. But I really did it because my kids never knew what I did in the military.
Right.
Which is, and you think about it, most veterans don't talk about what they did in the military.
No, that's what
probably,
we try and get people to do here.
You probably know better than anybody. Yeah. So but I would tell my wife, I'm going to write this book because my kids don't know what I did.
Yeah.
And she says, "Well, I don't know what you did, and I was married to you." It's like, well, fair enough.
Supposedly married, right? According to the family.
Right. Yeah. So it's been an interesting journey. I as I write, some of these stories come back to me, and it's like, wow, I remember that, and then and then I won't have, for a while, I'm just not motivated to write, or have that writer's block or whatever, and then I'll go back to it and I'll just hit it for a while, and then I'll stop for a while, and I think March was the last time I wrote in the book, So it's been an interesting journey trying to get it out. I'd like to have it finished here soon, so I can get it to First Sergeant Wrecker.
Yeah,
so he can read. Because I certainly wrote some nice pages about him.
Well, I think everybody deserves that. I call it the "It's a Wonderful Life" moment. Where you get to see how you positively impacted people. I think so many people don't get that, right? And for him to be able to see, there's a part of him that understands how he impacted you, but for him to read it and understand that that he's the guy that really helped you, that's going to mean a lot to him, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So you get out in 2002, and what's next for retired first sergeant veteran?
So I worked for a contract company in commercial real estate, and went in as a facility manager into a General Motors plant. It was a Romulus transmission, so just a small rented property that General Motors had, 280,000 square foot, and my job was to manage the facilities. And it was one of their first outsourcing attempts of getting the UAW and everybody else out of facilities and just letting the UAW and everybody concentrate on making transmissions.
Yeah.
So I went in there, was able to put in systems, and I relate the systems back to what we did in the military. Everything was a system on how you do basic training, how you do everything, so
right.
I put systems in that the newest person on my team could pick up and just go and run with. And General Motors liked what I was putting together, and they copied some of my systems and used them throughout all the rest of their buildings. And so eventually GM liked what we did and said, "Hey, we're going to do this at other plants. Would you bid on these other plants?" So my boss and I would get together when a bid would come out, and we'd put a packet together and bid on these plants. And I went from 280,000 square foot facility to over 6 million square feet in facilities, from Toledo to Ypsilanti to Romulus. And we were still growing.
Yeah.
And, my boss would say to people, "I don't know what he's doing. He just does it," so, so eventually I went from a facility manager to a senior facility manager to vice president to, moving up in the chain to, the vice president in charge in this company, vice president of facility management. But I would always do sales. And then always putting these systems every time we moved into one of these places. And so one of the systems, I'll give you an example, if we had a 10-inch water main break, which took out the water to the entire plant. We had systems in place that within a half hour, we'd have porta potties in the plant. We'd have porta sinks in the plant. We'd have 3,000-gallon trucks coming in, putting water in their coolant systems. So we never slowed down or stopped the production. Because anytime you slow down or stop the production, you'd have every vice president in the company standing in front of you, similar to the military,
right?
Trying to figure out why you can't get this fixed. So we put these systems in place to fix them, which was very similar to what we did in the military. So
it sounds like they were scalable too, right?
Yeah.
Like you put a system in place for a small facility, you could scale that up or scale that down depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Which
is so important because then you're not reinventing the wheel every time you do something.
Yeah, and we used other unions.
Uh-huh.
So we didn't get in trouble with the UAW. They couldn't say much because it was union.
Right. Right.
And, but we also, their other unions were very creative. And, so they're also the ones that were building the other manufacturing sites around the area. So in 2008, when things got bad, I went to the union and said, let's partner up.
Mm-hmm.
Let's figure out how these C-level suite people. I want to know them.
Right.
We can do great things together, with us running the management, you running the people through. So we built the business even stronger through those relationships,
And that was a tough time.
Yeah.
That was a really tough time. It was a tough time to keep a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and we were growing, and everybody else in our company was, staying still or
right.
going the wrong direction.
Right. You might be building less, but you're still building stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And you can't afford a slowdown when you're doing that.
Right.
And it's interesting you talk about building that partnership with the union, because if you're in a union environment, that's so important to get rid of the us and them mentality and come back with a we mentality that you can work together.
Yeah. And I think that's just a good leadership from the military. We have to figure out how to work together and complete the mission.
Well, if you think about military structure, I mean, honestly, you have management, which is kind of the officer corps, and you have the union, which I think the first sergeant's like your union steward, right? He's there to take care of the enlisted people.
Right.
Also there to get the mission done, that's been worked out, but to make sure the enlisted folks are taken care of.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you've worked both sides of that equation.
Yep. So I did that for 13 years in the General Motors plants.
Uh-huh.
Then I moved on to a COO position of a $17 million company, and did that for about a year downtown Detroit, and got an opportunity to. I had a few other little things in there, but I had an opportunity to be a COO of a $70 million company downtown Detroit, and to turn them around. They were stuck at $70 million for about 4 years. Couldn't grow, couldn't make any forward progression. So I came in and we changed the world on them. And the CEO let me do it. We divorced $9 million worth of business. It was bad business. It wasn't good for them. Brought in another $9 million of new business. That was good business. Made them money. Changed department heads, changed people, just got the right players in the right seats and, moved the company forward. But, after about a year, the CEO came to me and said, "Hey, thanks. I got it from here." Once I fixed it for him.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I can see where this is going,
Yeah. Thank you for your service. See you later.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I think, again, it was the military kind of the background of, getting everybody kind of in lockstep and
right,
doing the right things. And that helped that progression, So
you left there, and did you continue working then?
So I left there and I took a year. Trying to find a COO position is a very hard thing to do. There's not that many of them out there and not many that are open.
Yeah.
So took some other smaller jobs. I was either overqualified or I was, they didn't have the job. So I took some other smaller jobs just to do that. I also started my own business at that time, property management company. Picked up five buildings or 5 properties that were smaller, and so I just did that on the part-time.
Yeah.
And eventually, I did well my first year doing that, and I looked at the books and everything and said, maybe I've got something here. So I started my own business and stopped working for other people and building their business and started building my business. So from 2018 on up until this year, I had my own business going. So this year I officially retired at 60.
Yeah. You're not really retired, though. You're going to find something to do, I'll bet.
I'm retired.
Yeah.
I sold all the trucks, all the tools, everything. I'm retired, but
Right.
had some health issues and just trying to get healthy now.
Yeah.
And not worry about the silly stuff.
Time to build some systems for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Well, tell me a little about your kids. What are they doing now?
So my son worked for me for a little while, about a year and a half. But he was working at FMG concrete cutting and doing really well in that company. Worked for me for about a year and a half. And then they came back and made him an offer he couldn't refuse. So he's back there doing that.
Oh,
He goes all over the state of Michigan and cuts concrete. He drills holes from big holes to little holes. But he's in all these plants that I used to be in. So it's kind of cool to hear some of the stories. My daughter is a stay-at-home mom. She has 2 children with her first husband. She has just got married her second time. She has another child with a new husband, and he had 2 children. So she has children right now from 18 to 3.
Oh, she's busy.
Oh yeah, she's
super
very
busy.
busy.
Yeah, and they're all in Michigan then.
Yeah, right here in Howell.
Oh,
right in Howell. Yeah,
excellent.
Both of them. So that's kind of cool. We get to see. My son has an 8-year-old. So we get to see him every now and then. So
yeah, it's nice to be a grandparent, isn't it?
it is. It's fun. Yeah, I took my youngest this week, and we went off and just did things. We went to a pawn shop and just looked around at the pawn shop and kept him busy for a little while. And went to McDonald's, had lunch, took him to get a haircut. So it was kind of cool to just spend the day with him.
Yeah.
My wife and my daughter were wondering if I was ever coming back.
You find they exhaust you?
At the end, he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end, I was trying to pull something off my computer and get information, and he didn't want to hang out with grandma. He wanted to hang out with me,
Of course.
So I was like, wow, can I just get a break for a second here?
Right. I just need a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get this paperwork done.
Well, we've talked about a lot of stuff tonight this morning. Is there anything we haven't covered that you wanted to talk about?
So I'll tell you one interesting thing. As a 16-year-old kid getting ready to join the Army, I had to go to Milwaukee, Wisconsin for MEPS.
Yeah.
And that's your entry program, military entry program, where they do your physical and see if you're fit to be in the military. And then they assign you your duty or your MOS, your military occupational specialty, which was a tanker for me. I originally wanted to go in as a cook. I was in McDonald's as a young man, A&W McDonald's, I was cooking, and they said, the recruiter told me I could get E3 right away when I joined because I had experience. And I thought, well, there you go, I'm getting ranked. And I went into MEPS and found out I was colorblind, which I knew. And they said, you can't be a cook. And it's like, why? Salt and pepper, black and white. Right. I don't understand, but they said, do you want to be a tanker? And, and it's like, yeah.
Well, you can't be a cook, but you can drive a tank.
Right.
That's funny.
It was interesting. But, we went in there and it was just an eye-opening. It took the bus for the first time in my life to get down there. About a 2-hour drive in a bus. And so a lot of firsts. Got a hotel room. So myself and another guy were teamed up in this hotel room that was going through MEPS. Didn't know him from anybody, and he didn't know me. And so we're sitting in this room going, hey, what should we do? And we decided to go out and walk around town.
Yeah.
And obviously this wasn't in the best place of town, but 16, you don't know that. You don't know that.
Right. MEPS rarely is in the good part of town.
Right.
Rarely.
So we go out and start walking around the town, get probably 4 blocks down the road, and these ladies of the night are hooting and hollering at us and yelling for us to come over and see them. And, here I am 16 going, what the heck did I just get into? So this guy and I decide we're going to run. We're running back to the hotel. This is not for us. We got to get somewhere safe. So we're running. They're running after us. We're cruising, just about get to the hotel, and they cut through an alley they knew the place better than we did.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they got us cornered and they're like, oh, come on. I think there was 4 girls.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, oh my God, I have no money. I'm 16.
Right.
I'm going to do anything anyway. I just want to get back to the hotel room and get away from this. But, so finally we got out of there, got back to the hotel room, and they realized we broke kids,
Right.
So that was done. But it was an interesting story that, I don't think I've ever told anybody because, maybe my buddies,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But, it's like, oh my goodness. So next day we go to MEPS and we're going through everything, and the, we get in this big room, the doctor comes in and we're in our t-shirts and skivvies, and doctor says, turn around, face the wall. We all turn around, face the wall, and basically says, drop your drawers. So I'll do that. And he says, bend over, grab your cheeks. And naturally, there's one guy in there that grabs his cheeks.
Right.
And they weren't drill sergeants, but they acted like drill sergeants at that time. And they were all over this guy and saying, no,
You think you're funny?
wrong cheeks.
Right.
So we had that experience. At 16 wasn't pleasurable or
No.
wanted. But, came out of that and, signed the paper, raised her hand, and, as a group, and got sworn in. So
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. And then jumped on the bus and went back home. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Learned a lot in a very short period of time.
Yeah. Yeah. As a young man.
Exactly. Well, thanks for sharing that. And also, as we kind of wrap things up, I like to ask people kind of the same question every time. And that is, people listening to this story years from now, whether it's family, friends, or just someone who wants to know about our military history, what would you like to leave them with? What piece of advice or about how you lived your life, what you did in the military, what would you like to leave for people?
I think it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I think it shaped my life, my career. I think it shaped, the way I led in work and in the family. Sometimes good, sometimes bad.
Mm-hmm.
The drill sergeant in me would come out every now and then, and I try really hard not to let that guy come out.
Yeah.
But, just think of what a blessed career I had. When I retired from the military, the guy who took my spot 6 months later went overseas. And so I was right in this window. You did everything the first sergeant record told me to do, got, like I said, right place, right time, had a blessed career. The opportunities I had to meet people, shoot things, do, just the weapons systems I was able to shoot, different things, it was pretty cool. I always said if it's not fun, I'm not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fun. It was, and you don't realize what a good decision staying in the 20 years and retiring. I retired at 37.
Yeah.
And I've been out longer than I was in. But the blessings that are happening right now when I'm 60, my retirement comes in every month. My health insurance is paid for. I pay very little every month for my TRICARE. And, it's like, wow, I was self-employed for, 7 years, and I know what paying health insurance costs.
Right.
And to see this health insurance that the government's taking care of me, and the VA takes great care of me. I mean, all just the different benefits that you have, I think is, people just don't realize what that opportunity afforded them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I think, we go in for one reason and we come out and there's all these other things that we didn't think about that were, they're blessings for us.
And I didn't think about them until later in life.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, hindsight here,
Oh, exactly. All right. Well, Jim, thanks for coming out. I know it took us a little while to get together, but I'm glad that we finally did.
Yep.
Thanks for sharing your story.
All right. Thank you.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Veterans Archives podcast. We truly appreciate you taking the time to listen and honor the incredible stories of our nation's heroes. Don't forget, you can catch us every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern on Wreaths Across America Radio, or stream past episodes anytime on Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and as I've said before, any place you can find a podcast, you can find the Veterans Archives podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share our content on YouTube and Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and across all social media. Every share helps us reach more people and preserve more stories. The Veterans Archives Podcast is a nonprofit initiative, and our mission is simple: to give veterans a voice and ensure their stories are never forgotten. This service is completely free for veterans because their sacrifices deserve to be recognized and remembered. You want to help? Follow us, spread the word, and if you know a veteran with a story to tell, send them our way. Visit us at veteransarchives.org to learn more about how you can get involved. Thanks again for tuning in, and most importantly, thank you to all the veterans and their families for their service and sacrifice. Until next time, take care, and we will see you on the next episode of the Veterans Archives Podcast.